Red wine poured over him, the CEO laughing, the crowd recording every second. And still, Kieran Blake didn't flinch. Calm, composed, untouchable. He simply stood as whispers and snickers filled the room. They thought they were humiliating a guest. They didn't know he was the hidden investor behind the $800 million deal they were celebrating. And with one quiet call, he could and would bring their world crashing down. But before we dive into what happens next, I'd love to know, where are you tuning in from today? Drop your country in the comment below and please like the video. Thank you. Now let's continue. In a bright, glassy city where money talked louder than manners, the Orion Crown Hotel was packed. Inside its Aurora Grand Ballroom, the night was all about one thing: a massive $800 million partnership deal for a tech giant called Nova Helix Dynamics. To everyone inside, this was the kind of event that could rewrite careers. People dressed in designer outfits, laughed too loudly, and showed off for cameras. Everywhere you looked, phones were up, taking selfies, recording the decor, capturing angles to prove, "I was here." On most screens, one logo spun again and again: Nova Helix Dynamics. Rumors circled for weeks about a secret investor, someone whose money powered this deal but whose identity stayed in the shadows. The guests talked like they were close to the action, but the truth was simple. The man behind that money was standing in the room. And almost no one looked at him twice. His name was Kieran Blake. He wore a neat navy suit. Good quality but not loud. No gold chains. No flashy watch. Clean haircut. Eyes. He looked like any educated professional, not like the billionaire image people had in their heads. And that was his advantage. At the entrance earlier, a security guard had already made a decision about him before he said a word. "Are you with catering, sir?" the guard asked, eyes narrowed. Kieran didn't argue. He simply took out a black invitation embossed with a silver crest, the kind only top-level guests received. The guard blinked, stepped aside quickly. "My apologies." Inside, the judgment didn't stop. Two women in glittering gowns glanced at him and shifted away, clutching their bags closer, like he might bump into them or ask for something. At the bar, a man in a sharp white tux stepped right in front of him and laughed. "Staff first, right?" the man said, not even looking back. Kieran said nothing. He waited his turn and ordered water when he finally reached the counter. He wasn't there for their approval. Soon the host hit the microphone. The chatter dimmed. "Ladies and gentlemen," he boomed, "welcome to the Nova Helix Dynamics Gala." Applause rose instantly. "Tonight we celebrate a historic partnership," he continued. "An $800 million deal that will shift markets and define the future." The number lit up the greed in the room. People smiled wider, as if a portion of that money was already sitting in their accounts. Then the stars of the night appeared. Adriana Cole, the CEO's wife, walked onto the stage in a shimmering gold gown, moving like she knew the whole room belonged to her. Her smile was perfect, her wave practiced. Beside her stood Maxwell Cole, CEO of Nova Helix, his tailored suit and polished expression screaming authority. The cameras loved them. So did the crowd. Everyone watched them. No one paid attention to the man standing quietly near a marble column. Except Adriana. As Kieran shifted slightly to get a better look at the stage, a few guests muttered nearby. "I've seen that guy at a few events," one woman told her friend. "Always on the edge. Maybe he's security." "Or staff," the friend replied with a smirk. "Some of them dress like that when they want to blend." They chuckled and moved on. From the stage, Adriana's gaze drifted lazily across the room, until it landed on Kieran. Her smile froze, then twisted. She leaned toward Maxwell and whispered something. Maxwell's eyes followed her line of sight, and his brows tightened. Moments later, he stepped off the stage and made his way directly toward Kieran, wearing a polite smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Evening," Maxwell said. "Are you supposed to be standing here?" He tapped Kieran's sleeve lightly, like he was correcting a worker out of position. "I'm fine," Kieran answered calmly. "Just watching." "Right," Maxwell said with a short laugh. Let's not crowd the VIP area. He snapped his fingers at a passing server. Get this gentleman a towel or something. Looks like he's had a long shift. A few guests snickered. Someone whispered, "Who let staff into this section?" Kieran stayed silent. Then Adriana arrived. She approached with a slow, deliberate walk, heels clicking neatly on the polished floor. Without looking at the server, she plucked a glass of red wine from the tray. Her eyes slid over Kieran as if she were inspecting an item, not a person. "You know," she said sweetly, "if you needed extra income, you could have applied properly. Pretending to be a guest." She shook her head slightly. "Not clever." She held the wine glass toward him. "Take this to table 7. They've been waiting." Kieran didn't move. Her smile thinned. "I said do your job." Maxwell stepped in, taking the glass from her hand. "Let me handle this," he said loudly, making sure people were watching. He lifted the glass and, with a careless grin, emptied it down the front of Kieran's suit. The red wine splashed across Kieran's jacket and shirt, dripping toward the floor. Gasps rippled through the room. Someone whispered, "Did he just do that?" Another lifted their phone and hit record. Adriana gave a small laugh. Now he knows his place. Kieran slowly wiped a drop of wine from his jaw with 2 fingers. He straightened his shoulders, adjusted his sleeve, and turned toward the exit. He didn't shout. He didn't explain who he was. He simply walked away. A server watching murmured, "He left like he owns the building." Nobody believed it. They soon would. The hallway outside was cooler, quieter. The sound of music and chatter softened behind closed doors. Kieran walked steadily forward, reached into his pocket, and brought out his phone. He tapped a single contact. The call connected immediately. "We're standing by, sir," a voice said. Kieran spoke calmly. "Terminate the agreement. Freeze every channel. Make the announcement now." "Yes, Mr. Blake." He ended the call. The entire $800 million deal, the energy of the night, the pride of Nova Helix, balanced on that one quiet decision. Inside the ballroom, everything started to crack. The music stopped mid-note. The main screens flickered, then shifted to a different display. The host froze, hand raised, eyes darting to someone off stage. A man in a gray suit rushed to him, phone pressed to his ear, face drained. He leaned in and whispered. The host swallowed hard, then faced the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said, voice tight, "we've received word that tonight's contract signing has been temporarily halted." "Temporarily?" someone shouted. "In the middle of the event." Another snapped. "This can't be real," a woman whispered. "You don't stop something this big without a reason." Adriana strode forward, tension finally breaking through her perfect posture. "Who stopped it?" she demanded. The instruction came from the partner's side. The man in gray answered quietly. "They said the decision was final." Maxwell's temper flared. "I'm the one at the top here." The man shook his head. "Not on their side, sir." Around the room, executives pulled out their phones. Notifications poured in. "Every financial path tied to this deal is locked," one person said. "Investors just pulled," another murmured, staring at his screen. "My portfolio is crashing." At the same time, a different wave started spreading. The video. "Look at this," someone near the door said, holding up a phone. On the screen, fresh footage showed Maxwell laughing while pouring wine on Kieran's suit. Adriana beside him, smirking. Guest staring. No context needed. The caption read, "They thought he was staff." He walked out like he owned the place. The clip bounced from phone to phone. People who had been bragging minutes earlier now watched in stunned silence. A board member stormed up to Maxwell, face hard. "Do you realize who that man is?" Maxwell snapped. "He's nobody. Some worker who overstepped." The board member stared at him in disbelief. "That nobody is Kieran Blake. He owns the partner company. He's the primary investor behind this entire deal." Adriana's hand flew to her mouth. We poured wine on him, she whispered. We mocked him. And he pulled everything, the board member said. You didn't just insult a guest. You set fire to our future. The night that was supposed to secure their legacy turned into proof of their downfall. By morning, the world knew. News outlets replayed the video non-stop, labeling it a brutal example of arrogance meeting consequences. Social media lit up with people condemning Maxwell and Adriana, mocking their behavior, and praising the quiet man who simply walked away and let the numbers speak. Investors fled. Partners cancelled meetings. Board members resigned. Nova Helix's value sank like a stone. In their home, Adriana sat on the edge of the bed, phone buzzing with messages she didn't want to see. Maxwell paced, calling anyone he thought might still stand beside him. Most didn't pick up. The ones who did said the same thing. We're out. Finally, Adriana said, we need to talk to him. If we don't, it's over. Maxwell knew she was right. They had built everything on image. And with one cruel moment, they had destroyed it. Later, they drove to a quiet neighborhood and stopped in front of a modest, tidy house. They knocked. The door opened. Kieran looked at them, calm, composed, no trace of panic. It was as if the storm that ripped through their lives had never touched his. Adriana spoke first. We were wrong, she said, voice trembling. We treated you like you didn't matter. We're sorry. Please, give us a chance to fix this. Maxwell added. We've lost everything. If there's anything we can do to rebuild, we'll do it. Kieran listened without interrupting. You didn't lose everything last night, he said quietly. You lost it the moment you decided some people were beneath respect. They said nothing. You built a world where disrespect felt safe, he continued. Where you thought cruelty was free if the target looked powerless. Now you're paying for it. Adriana whispered. We didn't know who you were. That's exactly the problem, Kieran replied. You didn't care who I was. Maxwell took a shaky breath. There's no way back. The deal is gone, Kieran said. The trust is gone. And my door is closed. He held their eyes for a moment more, then finished. Walk carefully. The world is smaller than you think. He closed the door gently. They left with nothing. His life moved forward. Their names would now be remembered not for success, but for one moment when their pride cost them everything. If this story gave you chills, kept you on the edge of your seat, or made you think twice about the choices we make, don't stop here. Subscribe to Echoes of Life Stories for more gripping tales of courage, betrayal, and life-changing moments. Hit that button now and join our community, because every story you watch here will stay with you long after the screen goes dark. Don't miss the next story that could change everything.